Another weekend of college football is in the books. After a thrilling slate of games from week 5, here are my winners and losers from this past weekend of college football. Before we get to today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos every day during the season, so make sure to subscribe so you can join one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. We'll kick things off with Oregon State, who had a very comfortable 21-7 victory over Utah. This game was never in doubt for the Beavers, as they led 21-0 in the fourth quarter. The only touchdown Utah scored came with 5 minutes left when the game was already out of reach. Overall, it was kind of a quiet day from Oregon State's offense. They had only 15 first downs, DJ Uiagalelei threw for only 200 yards, and they rushed for only 130 yards as a team, but their defense stepped up and looked like one of the top defenses in the entire Pac-12. They held Utah to only 14 first downs and 200 yards of total offense. After last weekend's tough loss at Washington State, this was a massive victory for Oregon State, as they're right back in the hunt for the Pac-12 title game. I talked about this in my video last week, but with how competitive the Pac-12 is this season, every win you're able to pick up in conference play is massive. It's almost like picking up 2 wins. We're going to flip things over in this game to Utah because this was an abysmal game from them. Like I mentioned, they scored only 7 points, which came at the very end of the game. Overall, the Utes had fewer than 200 yards of total offense. They had only 57 yards on the ground, as they averaged less than 2 yards a carry. They went 2 of 13 on 3rd down and 1 of 4 on 4th down. Utah just hasn't looked great this season, and this is their first loss of the year. Nate Johnson struggled at quarterback once again, as he completed only 8 of 23 passes for 100 yards. The Utes are still missing Cameron Rising, who underwent ACL surgery this offseason. I don't know when he's going to return for Utah, but until he does, things just aren't looking good for this team. I guess the silver lining is they're 4-1 and they're 1-1 in conference play, so there is plenty of season left to go, but as long as Cameron Rising isn't back, I'm just not really high on this Utah team and don't think they can go that far. Like I talked about with Oregon State, every win you can pick up is massive in conference play, so already dropping a game really hurts this team. Last week I talked about this Texas-Kansas matchup and how I thought the Jayhawks would be able to hang around. Well, the Longhorns made sure to prove me wrong, as they took down Kansas 40-14. They pretty much dominated from start to finish in this game, and the Jayhawks never really had a chance. I mean, I guess you could say they did trail by 6 at the half, but this felt like a game Texas was going to win the entire way. Quinn Ewers was fantastic once again, as he threw for over 300 yards with a passing touchdown. Meanwhile, on the ground, the Longhorns rushed for over 330 yards as a team. That was largely due to Jonathan Brooks, who rushed for over 215 yards, averaging 10 yards a carry with 2 rushing scores. I get that Kansas was without quarterback Jalen Daniels and they were on their backup, but Texas's defense really smothered them this game. Overall, Kansas had only 11 first downs and went 0 for 8 on 3rd down attempts. That's actually the craziest thing that stood out to me, because entering this game, Kansas was the best 3rd down team in the entire country, and in this game, they were 0 for 8. We're almost at the halfway point of the season, and Texas looks like one of the more complete teams in all of college football. Although they scored 48 points and won the game, I have USC as a loser. It looks like this would be a very easy victory over Colorado, but they were outscored 21-0 to close the game, and honestly, if there were a couple minutes left on the clock, there's a chance that Colorado probably could have tied this game or even won it. I get it, Caleb Williams looked fantastic as he threw for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns, but like I talked about in my top 25 video, this USC defense is going to be their downfall this season. They have one of the best offenses in the entire country, but the fact that their defense is so unreliable and anybody can score on them, that is going to be a huge red flag for this team moving forward. I mean, come on, Colorado had 32 first downs and 565 yards of total offense. I don't care if you win a game, anytime your defense is putting up those numbers, that's not going to be a great thing. USC is still undefeated and they're ranked inside the top 10, but that defense has to be fixed if they want to be a playoff contender. For the second consecutive week, it looks like Notre Dame was going to lose in heartbreaking fashion. Instead, they pulled off the miracle and took down the Duke Blue Devils 21-14. Sam Hartman didn't have a great day, as he threw for only 200 yards while completing 50% of his passes. He He also didn't throw a passing touchdown as well, which is a rarity for him. But when the game was on the line, he stepped up on 4th down and delivered the huge run that kept Notre Dame alive. Then Audric Estime, who's been one of the best running backs in all of college football, pulled off one of his biggest runs of the entire season. Overall, he rushed for 80 yards with 2 rushing scores. The defense also stepped up for the Irish as they held Duke to only 300 yards of total offense. That now makes back-to-back weeks in which Notre Dame's defense has stepped up big time and kept them in the game. Again, the Irish were just one play away from dropping their 2nd consecutive game in heartbreaking fashion. Instead, things went their way and they picked up the massive win, keeping their season alive. Before I get to the rest of my winners and losers, I like to share with you guys how you can win money during the college football season. I've partnered with Underdog Fantasy to bring you this amazing deal. If you download the Underdog app and use promo code Harris, they'll match your first deposit up to $500. Yup, they're giving you up to $500 of free money. I've had a lot of success recently with college football and the NFL, and you can do the exact same with Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Harris for a 100% deposit match up to $500. You can also sign up using the link in my description as well. After losing in week 1, LSU was looking like one of the better teams in all of college football over the past month. They had a crazy back and forth game with Ole Miss, but they fell at the very end, losing a thrilling game 55-49. The offense did all they could as they scored 49 points, had 33 first downs, and had 640 yards of total offense. If I would have shown you those numbers prior to the game, you would have said that LSU has a 99.9% chance of winning, but unfortunately, their defense is the reason they lost. As if LSU's numbers weren't impressive enough, they allowed Ole Miss to score 55 points with 32 first downs and over 700 yards of total offense. I mean, looking at this box score is absolutely crazy. They allowed Jackson Dart to throw for 400 yards with 4 touchdowns, and they allowed Ole Miss to rush for over 300 yards with 3 rushing scores. Again, I thought this LSU team was really bouncing back nicely, and they were going to be a legitimate threat in the SEC, but this abysmal performance from their defense really hurt their playoff chances and really hurt their SEC chances as well. This might not have been a game that you were watching, but man, what an epic collapse. UCF was winning 35-10 as they entered the 4th quarter. Baylor scored a touchdown with 12 minutes to go, but still they were trailing by 17 points with 10 minutes left. Well, Baylor then scored back-to-back touchdowns and had the go-ahead field goal with a minute and a half left. After UCF scored a touchdown with 8 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, they were outscored 29-0 the rest of the way. I mean, seriously, you're at home, you have a 35-7 lead, and you somehow blow that? That's embarrassing. We'll wrap up today's video with Kentucky, who had a dominating 33-14 victory over Florida. Now, if I would have shown you the box score for the quarterback and the wide receivers, you probably would have thought that Kentucky got blown out in this game. Devin Leary completed only 9 passes for 69 yards, and only 4 players caught a pass for Kentucky. Well, that's all they needed because running back Ray Davis did everything for Kentucky in this game. Nope, seriously, he was the entire offense. He had 280 yards on the ground with 3 rushing scores. As if that wasn't enough, he actually caught the only touchdown from Devin Leary as well, giving him 4 touchdowns on the game. So he essentially outscored the Gators 24-14 on his own. Now, although he was the MVP of the game, I do want to give credit to Kentucky's defense. They held Florida to only 14 points and only 15 first downs. They went 4 of 13 on 3rd down and 1 of 3 on 4th down. Overall as a team, they rushed for a not so nice 69 yards, averaging only 2.5 yards a carry. I thought this would be a close game that could go either way, but Kentucky dominated Florida from start to finish and proved that they're one of the best teams in all of the SEC. Well, those are my 9 winners and losers from this past weekend. Which team do you think was the biggest winner or the biggest loser? Or was there a team that I didn't include that should have cracked this list? Let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. I'm posting college football videos every day during the season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.